Qigong is an ancient Chinese practice that is becoming increasingly popular in today's world, and I believe that the reason why is because we are so overstimulated that practices like this that hold this ancient wisdom that we're so detached from at the moment are coming back into fruition because we need them. If you're new to my channel, my name is Rosie. I'm a holistic coach based in the West Midlands, and I'm on a mission to bridge the gap between this ancient wisdom of these ancient practices and modern day language and knowledge. So let's begin. Qigong literally translates to energy work. Qi means life force energy, Gong means work. So a Qigong practice is an energy work practice. However, Qigong is an umbrella term. So there are many different forms of Qigong that fall within that umbrella term, much like with yoga. Over time, things have adapted, we've adapted, and therefore the practice has adapted. So Qigong is very much an umbrella term, but most Qigong practices combine three things: breath, movement, and meditation. The roots of Qigong stretch back thousands of years, and because of that, its history is a little bit fragmented. But one thing we are pretty sure on is that it is a Daoist practice, and Daoist monks were heavily influenced by Qigong practices. So Daoism, the Tao, what is the Tao? Well, the Tao is not something that we can actually describe with words. It's not something that we can conceptualize. Yes, we still try. There are many books written about it, but for the purpose of today, the Tao means the flow, a universal flow. An understanding that there is something greater than us, but not necessarily God, not necessarily something greater than us, but something that webs us together, a universal energy. So Taoism is not a religion, there is not a God that is believed in, it is merely a philosophy on how to live life in a way that reconnects you to yourself and to nature, and help you live in a balanced way, which is why they developed the yin-yang symbol. That yin-yang symbol is all about duality, balance. You cannot have light without dark, you cannot have day without night, you cannot have summer without winter, and so on and so forth. This understanding that we have mutual arising in things, that is a Daoist principle, and that principle filters through into Qigong practices. Qigong practices are very slow, very mindful. It's not about overextending yourself, but more about regulating your energy within and then building it, building your core power. Just before we move on to addressing our core power and what it is, I just wanted to touch on the fact that actually the Tao is recognized in many other cultures. For example, Judo, Do is Tao. It's the same concept. It's this understanding that there's a universal energy. Tao also translates roughly to the way, the universal way, this unwritten universal law. We can also see echoes of the Tao in India with the Dharma. We can even see this concept echoed in ancient tribes of America with their understanding of the dreamland, the great spirit, this something beyond us that connects us, a universal energy, the Tao. And so the concept of the Tao is not too unfamiliar. We see it echoed in many, many different cultures across many different periods of time. Now that we've touched very briefly on Taoism and how Qigong has formed through ancient China through these times, let's look at the practice. So the practice is energy work. Obviously, it's very esoterical with that. Some people may not believe that we have this energy within us to be worked with, but let's translate it into more modern science terms. We have to have energy in our body in order to survive. We get our energy through our food, through the air that we breathe. If we are starved of water, food, and air, we no longer have the energy to keep our body alive. So rather than seeing Qigong as this very whimsical, energetic practice, we can root it and ground it down within our physical body. And actually, in fact, in 1950s in China, they reintroduced Qigong into their healthcare regime because they understood the physical benefits it had on the body. And due to their ageing population at the time, they were struggling to keep up with modern science bills from the West. So they encouraged their Chinese population to take part in Qigong on a daily basis in order to keep a healthy body. So despite all the whimsicalness associated with Qigong, there is very, very grounded, rooted physical benefits. For starters, it helps us move our body. We are very sedentary these days. I am definitely sedentary. Qigong got me back into some regular movement, and it's not too hard. It is suitable for all levels, but the movement is not too brass. We're not burning too much energy. That goes against the concept of Daoism and Qigong. It's about moving with mindfulness, moving with your breath in order to regulate the energy within your body. Therefore, some of the benefits that come alongside this are improved circulation, a regulated nervous system, which in turn impacts how we produce hormones. We can get hormone balances back from practicing Qigong regularly. And it's also very good at strengthening the spinal cord, helping you with your mobility, which really helps as we get older. Due to Qigong's complex history and it's dealing with many different hands and actually different belief systems, there are so many different types of forms of Qigong. The two forms that I studied are the Baduan Jin and the Zanzuan. The Baduan Jin consists of 8 moves, 8 brocades. The Zanzuan is a standing meditation. In the movement, we regulate the qi, we regulate the body. In the stillness, we build our power. And one of the standing meditations that we do actually addresses something called our core power. Now, our core power sits with our thumb on our belly button, fingertips pointing down, forming a diamond shape with your hands. Your core power lives within your body, sat between your fingers. What is the core power, you may be thinking? Well, in Daoism and in Chinese medicine, they believe it's the seat of our energy, the core of our energy. So within Qigong practice, we are bringing the awareness, the energy down from the mind, down through our body to our core. When you strip this back of everything else, let's just have a look at how we live our life today and always have done. We are the only creatures on this planet that have a brain and a mind as we do. We have desires, we have habits, we are looking for experiences, we are looking to live life, not just survive, but we are also wired to survive. So a lot of the time, our mind is in a constant battle of doing things for our survival based off our experiences in our subconscious and doing things out of drive, desire, which are also formed from our subconscious and our hormone levels, a lot of neuroscience there. Without going into too much detail, we have a lot of awareness in our head and not much awareness in our body. So addressing our core brings that awareness, brings that energy down from the head into the body, allowing us a chance to actually switch into a parasympathetic state with our nervous system. When we are thinking all the time and striving to fulfill our desires and have different experiences, we're very, very activated in the mind, and this means we're also activated in the body. We slip into an activated state, the sympathetic nervous system. What we need to do in order to rest and digest and recover fully so that we can actually combat things like stress, anxiety, depression, we need to slip into a parasympathetic state, which comes about when we walk in nature, when we meditate, and when we sleep. Now, it's not often that we rest in today's society and truly reach that state, because when we're resting these days, we're on our phones, we're on our computers, we're on the TV, we're reading a book, we're listening to music, there's constant stimulation, and we need a rest, a break from that stimulation in order to truly slip deep into the parasympathetic state. So by practicing Qigong, we're taking the awareness from the head, we're bringing it down to our core, we root our breath. That deep breath really signals to our nervous system that it's time to calm down, it's time to rest, recover, slip into that parasympathetic state. And so in doing that practice alone, without anything else, we're already starting that process of self-healing, because it's within this parasympathetic state that self-healing happens. So by simply shifting our awareness out of our mind, down to our core, by using our breath to slow down our nervous system, to slow down our heart rate, to really slip into a state of relaxation, before we even begin any Qigong practice, we are already reaping the rewards of slowing down. And I believe that is why across many different practices and many different cultures, you see people addressing their center, their core. For example, in yoga practices, they use the Manipura chakra and they deep breathe to their belly to help signal to the nervous system that it's time to rest. Now, they might not word that in their teachings, but when we translate that into our understanding, words that resonate with us, that is what is happening. Also see this belly breath practice in Buddhist meditation practices. In fact, there's a meditation called the middle way where you find your center, you focus all of the awareness on the center of your body. Again, shifting the attention from the head to the body, to the center. And actually, when you look back further in time, there are ancient statues linked to ancient civilizations that all have their hands resting at our core power. It is undeniable that bringing our awareness down to our center of our body is so powerful. And actually, even in Western English culture, this is echoed in the language that we speak. What do we say when we are unsure of something or very sure of something? Trust your gut, or I had a gut feeling. That is because there is power to be held in our center region. It's like a second brain for the body that we don't quite acknowledge, but in Qigong practice we do, and we shift that awareness, that energy down from our head, our heavy head in today's world, down to our body to reach a state of relaxation in order to recenter ourselves and move forward in a state of flow and ease. How can we move forward in flow and ease if there's too much tension in the mind? We need to shift out of our mind and into our body, and that is what core power is all about. Yes, you may go and watch a video elsewhere and they'll talk very much about the energetic practice, the energy linked to core power. There's definitely rabbit holes that you can go down, but when we strip it back to language and understandings that we understand today, then we can actually start to believe and use this practice in a way that is beneficial to us, rather than casting it aside because of the language that is used not resonating with us. So, in summary, during Qigong practices with myself and probably with many other practitioners around the world, we address something during Qigong called our core power. And it's all about building our core power so that we can have this energy within us to be cultivated and used to help us heal ourselves. We should be able to create and generate all the medicine that we need, and that is not to cast aside modern medicine at all, but these practices can really complement the modern healthcare system that we've created today. And it's a shame that there's a struggle at the minute to let them both coexist. So that's my mission. I'm trying to bridge that gap between the ancient wisdom, the ancient practices, and these modern understandings that we have today, this modern language that we have today. And if you think about it, language changes all the time. There are words that we use today that we didn't even use 20 years ago because we have new technology, we have new slang, we have text language, emoji language. 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, these were all things that would not have been around, would have been seen as very strange. So just within that short lifetime, we've had an adjustment in our language, which means over thousands of years, of course, language has evolved and we have evolved. But instead of casting aside the old ways of doing things, ancient ways of doing things, we need to integrate them into our new life. And that is my mission at the moment. So today we have very briefly covered core power. If you are interested in coming along to one of my Qigong classes, there are many across the West Midlands now, Sutton Coldfield, Hall Green and Bewdley. I'm also starting online Qigong classes from Thursday the 25th of September at 8 p.m. UK time. It's just a short 45-minute class where we will be addressing our core power. So if you're ready to tap into what that is, see what the practice is all about, learn a little bit more about Qigong, experience it, But most importantly, if you're ready to relax and switch off and give your mind a break, come along to the online session on the 25th of September at 8 p.m.